All right, let's talk about a topic that is just everywhere these days: vitamin D. Is it a miracle cure, a simple nutrient, or something else entirely? There's so much noise out there, so today we're going to cut right through it and look at what the science really has to say. Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? That just constant nagging exhaustion. But what if a piece of that puzzle wasn't in your next cup of coffee, but in something your own body is literally designed to create from sunlight? We're about to explore the pretty surprising links between this one little thing and how you feel day in and day out. Okay, so first things first, we have to get one thing straight. Just calling vitamin D a vitamin is kind of selling it short. Way short, actually. It's really in a class all by itself. And once you understand what it truly is, you'll see exactly why it's so critical for our bodies. Yeah, the keyword here is prohormone. So think of it this way. Unlike most vitamins you have to get from food, your body can actually make vitamin D. It then converts it into this super powerful hormone that acts like a master switch for some of your body's most important systems, telling your gut how much calcium to pull from your food and even helping to direct your immune system. For a long, long time, we're talking over a century, its claim to fame was its incredible power to prevent rickets in children. And this was a massive discovery. By making sure the body could properly use calcium, vitamin D literally built stronger skeletons and helped wipe out a really devastating disease. So this connection to bone health? That's the rock-solid foundation of all vitamin D science. But it's not quite that simple. Turns out there's not just one vitamin D. You've got D2, which you'll find in plant sources like mushrooms, and then you have D3, which is the kind your skin makes from sunlight and that you also find in animal-based foods. And here's the kicker. While your body can use both, a lot of research suggests D3 is way more effective at actually raising your overall vitamin D levels. Okay, so bone health, check, we got that. But honestly, that's kind of the old story. The real buzz in the scientific community right now is all about what else vitamin D might be up to. And this is where the story gets a whole lot bigger. So let's circle back to that whole feeling tired thing. Well, here's a fascinating potential link. New research is suggesting that vitamin D plays a role in managing some of your brain's most important chemical messengers. We're talking about things like serotonin and dopamine. If it helps keep those in balance, it could be getting at the very root of what causes that physical and mental fatigue. And here's where things get really interesting, especially with our immune system. Just look at this number. One study found that a whopping 72% of people with autoimmune thyroid disease were also deficient in vitamin D. Now, that's not proof that one causes the other, but wow, what a powerful clue. It definitely got researchers asking some very important questions. So, following that clue, another study took it a step further. This time, they actually gave vitamin D supplements to people with Hashimoto's, which is a common autoimmune condition. The result? After just 4 months, the levels of the antibodies that were attacking their thyroids had dropped significantly. This suggests vitamin D might not just be hanging around at the scene of the crime, but could actually be a tool to help manage the situation. The immune system is one thing, but what about our metabolism? Well, another really exciting frontier for vitamin D research is its potential link to type 2 diabetes. And this one is a big deal. A really solid study found that for a very specific group, people who were either brand new to a diabetes diagnosis or were at high risk, high-dose vitamin D supplements actually improved how well their bodies responded to insulin. That's a direct improvement in their metabolism, which is a huge factor in fighting off the disease. But that begs the question, right? Why doesn't this seem to work for everyone? Well, Dr. Claudia Gagnon, one of the researchers, has a theory. She suggests that for folks who've had the disease for a long time, their metabolism might just be too far along to see that same clear benefit. It really tells us that when it comes to treatment, timing might just be everything. All right, let's take a deep breath because now we're wading into the most debated and maybe the most complicated area of them all: cancer. For years, the possible link between vitamin D and cancer has been a source of huge hope and, frankly, a lot of scientific controversy. The whole thing really kicked off when researchers started just observing large groups of people, and they noticed a pattern. Folks who just naturally had higher levels of vitamin D in their blood seemed to have a lower risk of getting certain types of cancer. It was a really compelling connection that started a huge wave of research. And they didn't just notice it, they put a number on it. A huge analysis that pulled together data from lots of studies found that for every 20-point bump
in vitamin D blood levels, the overall risk of getting cancer seemed to drop by about 7%. I mean, that's a connection that's pretty hard to ignore.
Which, of course, leads us to the billion-dollar question. It's one thing to see a link, but does that mean that just taking a vitamin D pill will actively stop you from getting cancer? Well, to figure that out, you have to do a totally different kind of science.
And here's where the story takes a fascinating twist. When scientists ran these massive gold standard studies, like the famous VITAL study where they gave thousands of people either vitamin D or a placebo, the results were, well, not what they expected. They found basically no significant difference in new cancer cases between the groups. So, what does this mean? It means the science is complicated and the jury is still very much out.
Okay, so after all that heavy science, let's switch gears and get practical. Because no matter what the debates are, we know that getting enough vitamin D is absolutely essential for your basic health. So, how do you actually do it?
It really boils down to three main ways. Number one, and the biggest one, is the sun. Your skin is literally a vitamin D factory. Number two is food, specifically certain kinds of food. And number three, to fill in any gaps, especially if you live somewhere without a lot of sun, is supplements. For most of us, it's going to be a mix of all three.
So let's talk about eating sunshine. When it comes to food, the best sources are pretty specific. You've got fatty fish like salmon and sardines, which are great, but the absolute champion? Cod liver oil. A single teaspoon has over 100% of what you need for the day. You can also get it from things like egg yolks and, of course, foods that have it added in, like fortified milk. So, what's the magic number? How much should you be aiming for? Well, this chart lays out the general recommendations. For most adults under 70, the target is 600 international units a day. But you'll notice that the numbers are different for babies and for adults over 70, which just reflects how our body's needs change over our lifetimes. And here is a really, really important warning. Vitamin D is fat soluble. That means that unlike some vitamins where you just pee out any extra, your body stores this one. So if you take way, way too much, it can actually build up and become toxic. This is one of those cases where more is absolutely not better. You've got to stick to the recommendations.
So let's bring it all home. Where do we land after all of this? Well, the science is pretty clear that vitamin D is not some magic bullet, not a cure-all. But is it an absolutely crucial piece of our larger health puzzle? For sure. Its role in bone health is undeniable, and its connections to our immune system and metabolism are just too compelling to ignore.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. If vitamin D, something we've just called a simple vitamin for 100 years, is really this powerful hormone our bodies can make, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other things out there are hiding in plain sight, playing a much bigger role in our health than we ever imagined?